Hello and welcome to the Crystal Palace podcast. I'm Alfonso Greenbrook and today in Pod 10 I'll be looking at the result of the Southampton in the EFL Cup by bringing my match review player rankings and my man of the match. As well as this, I'm also going to bring you an exclusive interview with Alan Pardew and Joe Ward after the game. So let's begin. Goals from Charlie Austin and Jack Heswick saw Palace's interest in the EFL Cup end at the third round as they were beaten at St Mary's. On a disappointing night for the Eagles, their exit at the hands of the Saints was compounded by Scott Dann being forced off injured early in proceedings, before Austin fired home a penalty just after the half-an-hour mark. After Wayne Hennessy had helped his side stay in the tie by making a number of saves, he was beaten for a second time when Heswick netted in a rebound after such a stop by the Welshman, and saw the Saints gain cup revenge over the Eagles, who had won at the venue twice in the FA Cup in successive seasons. A cagey start saw little in the way of goal-mouth action until the 12th minute, when Connor Wickham saw a header from a corner deflect wide off Jose Font. But the Eagles suffered a major blow 4 minutes later when Dan, on the occasion of his 100th appearance for Palace, pulled up chasing a through ball by Couto Martin and limped off the field with a suspected hamstring strain. The bad news kept coming for the visitors way through when on 32 minutes the Saints were awarded a penalty. Another dangerous ball into space by Martin allowed Shane Long to dart onto the end of it, and Dan's replacement Martin Kelly's attempt at a tackle brought the Republic of Ireland striker down in the box, allowing Austin to coolly slide the ball into the opposite direction to Hennessy's drive from 12 yards to score his fourth goal in 7 days. Boosted by being in possession of the lead, Southampton began to dominate proceedings, and 2 minutes later the Welsh goalie was called into action again when he managed to claw a header from Heswick away from the corner before following Matt Targett's cross, and Austin could have done better when Long scrambled in front of Zeki Fryers to cut the ball back to the striker's path, but the goal scorer shanked his half volley horribly off target. There was brief respite for Palace when Yohan Cabaye curled an effort just wide, but the Saints went straight up the other end and a dangerous Austin found himself on goal again, and Heskett's precise pass allowed him to escape behind the back line, but Hennessy's outstretched hand brilliantly denied him from his brace, and a minute later Martin was next to try his luck, but his shot narrowly wide from a tight angle. In the first half stoppage time it was so nearly 2-0, yet again another pass into space saw the pacey Long get on the end of it and round Hennessy, but his attempt at finding the empty net lacked the required strength, and Damien Delaney managed to scramble back and hook the ball away from danger, as the visitors escaped into the break just 1 goal behind. However, on 64 minutes the second did arrive. Having quietened the hosts after the restart, Southampton suddenly sprung into life when James Ward-Prowse was allowed to bring the ball into the Eagles' half and once again utilised Long's pace. The striker drifted in behind Joe Ward and got a shot away, which was well saved by Hennessy, but the rebound came to Heskett, who drilled home his maiden career goal, allowing him to celebrate for the first time. The game petered out as a contest at that point, although Hennessy made another smart stop to add to his collection when he got down to tip away a bending attempt by substitute Nathan Redmond as the Saints marched on to round 4. Now for some statistics from the game. Possession, 45% Southampton, 55% Crystal Palace. Corners, 7 for Southampton, 4 for Crystal Palace. There were 2 offsides for Southampton and 1 offside for Crystal Palace. Shots on goal, there were 2 goals for Southampton and none for Crystal Palace. Southampton had 14 shots and Crystal Palace had 9 shots. Shots on target for Southampton was 7 and for Crystal Palace 2 shots on target. Shots off target for Southampton 7, shots off target for Crystal Palace 7. Fouls, 14 for Southampton and 6 for Crystal Palace. Yellow cards, 1 for Southampton and 1 for Crystal Palace. There were no red cards in this game. So now you've heard the match review, we're now going to move on to the player rankings. But before we start with that, don't forget to follow us across social media on Twitter and Facebook at eCrystal Palace for all the latest news. And for all you Facebook users out there, don't forget to check out our Facebook group so you can join in with discussions, read the latest news and also post your own opinion. So like I said there, if you do want to get in contact with us, do drop a comment below the video on who you thought the man of the match was and also who you thought the best players were throughout the game. And if you, obviously you can do that, but if you do want to just comment something generally about the game, obviously do drop it below the video or tweet us at eCrystalPalace and also post or comment on our videos on both Facebook and also our Facebook group. But obviously, like I said, if you do want to have an opinion or post your own opinion about the game or just talk about the player rankings or anything about the podcast or anything about the game in general, do contact us via both the Twitter platform and also by the YouTube comments. But obviously, if you are on Facebook, I do recommend join our Facebook group because we post quite a lot of discussions on there, so you can all comment on what you thought about the game. Also, we post the latest news on there, keep you up to date with all the latest Palace news, and also you can post your own opinion on there. So if you had something about the game that you liked or a player's performance you liked, do go on the Facebook page because you can write it on there so other fans can see it, other fans can like it, comment about whether they agree with you, and just so other people can hear what you say. And that all helps to us building a more discussion-based group. And on eCrystal Palace. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's for Palace fans, by Palace fans. So if you all comment on here, all add a bit of discussion, it will all help all of us because we can all hear and talk about our love for our club. But obviously, like I said, we're going to move on to the player rankings. And you know what? This was a very poor performance by Palace. Yes, we lost 2-0, but there's quite a lot of positives to take from the game. And obviously, as this was in the Cup, not many people have as much interest in the Cup as they do in the league. So that, most people disregard this result. And to be honest, I was sort of one of these people, I sort of wanted to go into the game quite positive, try and get a win in the game. But at the end of the day, the league is the main competition. So you want to do well in that. So judging by last season, we don't want to get distracted by the Cup run. So we'll put that aside. We'll concentrate on the league now. But to be honest, most people have the same, sort of approach to cup games. You get knocked out, it's not the end of the world because it's every year you can do it. Whereas if you lose a game in the league, you're going to be looking at in a relegation fight. Whereas if you lose a game in the cup, that's it, game over, you can concentrate on the league. So I think that's why most people have the opinion that if we lose a cup game, never mind, as long as nothing really bad happened in the game, we can move on. And to be honest, most fans are like that, like myself. And to be honest, because of that, I'm not going to go into too much detail. Not because we lost and I'm a sore loser, but like I said, because not many people care as much and have much attention to the Cup, I'm not going to give you the normal in-depth analysis which I do of each player. I'm just going to go through each of the players. And obviously the better players will be on the player rankings and I'll go on to discuss them. Now to start, in goal with Wayne Hennessy, who I am going to give an 8. Made a couple good stops in the first half and continued his good performance in the second half. Can be pleased with his performance on a personal level. Made some crucial saves throughout the game, but cannot be criticised for both of Southampton's goals. Joe Ward, a 5. Didn't offer much in the first period and didn't get forward enough. Scott Dan, a 4. His night was cut short due to injury. Let's hope it's not too serious. So just a word on the injury there. In the 15 minutes that Dan was on the field, he was very solid, both in the air and both putting in tackles. But obviously, went to chase the ball down, doing his normal defensive work, and obviously pulled his hamstring. But I believe it's not too serious, and he should be back in the upcoming weeks. Now to move on to Damien Delaney, an 8. Battled really well and mopped up when required. Probably Palace's best defender with his tackling and blocking ability. Zeki Fryers, a 6. Did okay at times, but had to deal with the attacking fullback in Curtin Martins. Needs a regular run of games and can now get that due to Dan's injury. Yohan Cabaye, a 6. Good to see him back in the side after injury, but had a second half to forget and was booked for dissent. His distribution was good throughout the game and went back and done defensive work as well. Jordan Much, a 4. Anonymous in the first half and had an effort well off target. Did nothing much in the game. Bakary Sakho, a 4. Nothing of note in the opening 45 minutes and was taken off in the second half. This was going to happen considering he's just come back from injury. Lee Chung-Yong tried to stay positive but with no threat. Dropped deep to get the ball and showed good energy, a 6 for him. Wilfried Zaha, a 6. Looked fairly lively early on but faded as the game went on. But he looked better than other midfielders out there and was Palace's best attacking threat throughout the game. Connor Wickham, a 5. did nothing in the first half and had no one supporting him either. His second half performance wasn't any better. If the support had been better to Wickham, he probably could have had more impact on the game. But in saying that, he did have a very good headering. He did use his headering ability throughout the game. Martin Kelly, a 6, came off a down early on and gave away a penalty, usually reliable. Set to start at left back or centre back on Saturday. He made crucial blocks throughout the game, but we can fault him and criticise him for the penalty he gave away. Christian Benteke, a 5. No threat at all in the last 25 minutes, but his headering ability added a bit more to the game and added the attacking threat which Palace were missing. Jason Puncheon, a 5. Collected the ball and kept it neat and tidy. No threat though. His passing helped to create counter-attacks while he came on the pitch, but that wasn't enough to get Palace the win. Overall, it was a very poor performance for Palace against Southampton in the EFL Cup. And obviously we did lose 2-0 at that. But to be honest, quite a lot of the players would be happy with their performances, considering they haven't played for a while, or players who, can come into a game and play quite well. But to be honest, for the majority of the team, it was a night to forget. Not the best performance, but certainly players like Wayne Hennessy, maybe Fryers, Delaney, Zaha, Lee Chung-Yong, Puncheon as well. These players had quite a lot of impact on the game, and this is probably a night to remember, because although we lost and it was a defeat for us in the cup and they knocked us out, it was a very good performance from them. But to be honest, it was a night to forget for most of the club. We'll move on from the league. We'll move on from the cup now. We'll concentrate on the league. But overall, it was a poor performance by Palace, but certain players did shine through. Now for my man of the match award, but before I do that, I give you my man of the match and who I thought had the biggest influence on the game. I'm now going to give you the results of my Twitter poll. So the 4 nominations for the man of the match award against Southampton were Damien Delaney, Lee Chung-Yong, Jason Puncheon and Wilfried Zaha. So starting in last place with 15% of the votes was Wilfried Zaha. In third place with 17% of the votes was Jason Puncheon, which means in second place and runner-up for the man of the match award against Southampton with 31% of the votes was Damien Delaney, which means the winner of the man of the match award for the game against Southampton in the EFL Cup was Lee Chung-Yong with an impressive 37% of the votes. So congratulations Lee Chung-Yong, you don't get a trophy or certificate, but you do get my sincere congratulations on what was a very solid performance, attacking performance from you, considering it was an overall poor performance from the Palace players. But obviously, I'm going to move on to why I put these 4 nominations here, and obviously who I thought the man of the match was. And I am going to start going in order of who I nominated then. Obviously, Damien Delaney, he had a very solid game. He batted very well. He mopped up when required. And to be honest, he was Palace's best defender. If it weren't for him in the game, Southampton probably would have got through on a few occasions. They would have scored another goal because he cleared the ball off the line after the Charlie Austin, I believe, went round Wayne Hennessy. So, Damien Delaney had a very solid defensive game, whether that would be mopping up, making tackles, the bog standard thing you would expect from him. And to be honest, you can't really fault him for either of the goals, one being the penalty, which he didn't do the foul, and the other one, Hennessy made a big save and it was just unlucky that it rebounded to a Southampton player to score. So, all in all, a very good defensive performance from him. Obviously, Lee Chung-Yong did very well. He tried to stay positive in the team. He didn't really have much threat going forward, but he did drop deep throughout the game, and that meant that he got the ball quite a lot and showed quite a lot of energy. Some of the players didn't really show much energy in the game. Maybe that's because we were losing. But to be honest, as the game progressed, someone like Lee, you could see his energy levels were quite a lot higher than the other players. And although he didn't have much of a threat on the game, he did pose a little bit more threat than some of the other players on the field. And, his passing, his creativity, his distribution was fantastic throughout the game. And that's why he's one of the hot contenders to win my man of the match, because he obviously won the Twitter poll. But the reason he is on the list is just because he was positive throughout the game. Even though we were losing, he done what he had to do, whether it be attacking, defending, and he just done that very well. And obviously, moving on to the substitute, Jason Puncheon, he collected the ball quite a lot and kept the game quite neat and tidy. And he didn't really have much threat throughout the game. But considering he came on for sort of, say, the last 25 minutes, you can't really expect him to have that big of an impact throughout the game. And obviously, that was shown there. But to be honest, like he's done in past games, he was able to use the ball quite nicely, use his creativity to get the ball out of the areas and at the same time keeping it quite neat and tidy by not giving away possession too much, and also by trying just to hold up the ball, waiting for more support, and he'd done that with ease. And obviously that leads me nicely on to the final nomination, which was Wilfried Zaha, and he looked quite lively on the game. Obviously, he came into the game quite raring to go, same as Lee Chung-Yong, had a lot of energy, went pouncing at the game, but towards the end of the game, it sort of faded out a bit. And, you know, although he was our best attacking threat throughout the game, obviously running down the wing, getting the crosses in, cutting inside, having a few shots, he didn't really have that much of an impact on the game. But to be honest, out of all the players, he looked better than most of the Palace team, to be honest, and especially the midfielders. He was probably the best player on the field other than Lee Chung-Yong, because he was our best attacking threat throughout the game. Everything, all of our attacks came through him. He was able to get forward on quite a lot, a few occasions, let's say, and just his sheer ability as well to attack, but also balance it to defend as well. And I think that's one of the reasons why we had quite a good game, is because he was able to get that balance right when we were under pressure and able to use the ball when he had the opportunity. And that's something we've seen more from him this season. When he gets possession, instead of panicking, giving the ball away or not having much control, he's staying composed, getting the ball, carrying it forward, and that resulted to him being the main man leading the attack. But obviously, I'm going to move on to who I thought the man of the match was, and obviously all of these are really worthy nominations. To be honest, someone like Wayne Hennessy, who I did give an 8 in the play rankings, could be on the list because, you know, he had a pretty decent game, making crucial saves, and, you know, his performance overall, first half and second half, was very good. But the reason I didn't put him on there, on the list, is because, you know, he did concede 2 goals, he did result in us losing the game, and to be honest, out of all of the good players in the game, which there was a few, he wasn't the best player on the pitch. Yes, he was, you know, worthy of maybe getting on the nominations, but I thought, you know, these 4 players were a lot better than him. But obviously, it was a hard decision because, obviously, my 2 sort of top nominations were Zaha and Lee Chung-Yong, and Punching to an extent. But Lee Chung-Yong and Lee Chung-Yong and Wilfried Zaha were both the best attacking threats throughout the game, and that's why I put them on the list. Obviously, I am going to go for Lee Chung-Yong. Sorry. Just for the main reason that he carried the team quite a lot. He tried to stay positive throughout the game, and although he didn't have much threat in the game, he kept quite a lot of calmness to the game. He tried to drop deep a few occasions to get the ball, and he just overall energy was fantastic. And that's why I put him as the man of the match, just because he was positive throughout the game. He was one of the best threats throughout the game, and also dropped deep to do the dirty work and get in crucial tackles and blocks when Southampton were on the counter-attack. But obviously, congratulations to Lee Chung-Yong. You are the winner of my personal Man of the Match award for the game against Southampton in the EFL Cup. But obviously, like I said, with the Twitter poll, you don't get a trophy or certificate, but you do get my sincere congratulations, along with Wilfried Zaha, for a very solid performance for the game. But obviously, if you do want to vote next week in my Twitter poll for the Man of the Match award, do follow me at the CPFC podcast. Obviously, the poll for Man of the Match isn't run by my Crystal Palace. It's run by my own personal account, which you can follow at the CPFC podcast. Go on there. I post the latest news. I retweet quite a lot of the club stuff, and also post these reviews on there as well. But obviously, now you've heard my match review, player rankings, and my man of the match. That concludes this week's podcast for the game against Southampton in the EFL Cup. Now I've got an exclusive interview with Alan Pardew and Joe Ward following the game.
Alan, unfortunately not into next round, but what are your thoughts on the game?
Well, a tough game. They played well, I thought, and pulled us around. We wasn't as good as we should have been tonight. There's a few players who got a game and didn't particularly play great, but a disappointing game for us.
And Scott Dan going off injured. Is there any update on him?
Not sure yet. We'll have to wait and see in the morning, but probably doubtful for Saturday by the looks of that tonight.
Was it a good exercise in fitness for some of the players?
Well, there's 1 or 2 needed a game, but we wanted to go through the cup. It wasn't about fitness, but they'll be better for it, for sure.
And Zeki Fryers, a player that the fans haven't seen much of in his time at the club. What did you make of his performance?
Yeah, I thought he did okay today. It was a difficult game for him because of the way they play. But what he did, it was okay. And it was important he got a game today in terms of having that confidence to go on from there. He didn't do much wrong tonight.
And do you feel like Scott Dan going off affected the team at all, just for the few minutes after it?
Possibly. Certainly the goal. Martin has come in on cold there and got caught out making a poor decision for the tackle on the penalty. He's a bit more patient than that normally. and that set them away. Once they got the lead, we was making it difficult for ourselves. We couldn't find a way through, and unfortunately couldn't create many chances.
Joel, first of all, thanks for speaking to us tonight. What do you think the difference was between the two sides tonight?
I don't think there was a huge amount. It was a frustrating night for us. I don't think we went with as much purpose and intensity in our game, and I think it was one of those nights where you quickly have to put it to the back of your mind and put it right on the weekend.
That's the leader in the game tonight, Scott Dan. Do you think that affected the team at all for a few minutes?
I think obviously he's a massive player for us, and he's proven that week in, week out for us. He's been an outstanding presence on the pitch. But I think we also have quality to come on and quality throughout the squad, and we've got more than enough quality to come on and do well.
It's clear that the team's passing it out a lot more from the back this season. Is it kind of a season of learning for some of you guys, working on a different style of play?
Well, I think we've been trying to. There's a lot of changes going on throughout everything that we're doing, but it's getting that balance, and I think the last couple of games we've shown a great balance in the league, and tonight was just, like I said, one of those nights that you have in football.
And finally, just the fans didn't stop singing throughout. They were great tonight, weren't they?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we probably take it for granted, the fans that we've got. Home and away, they're fantastic, and they lift you when times are hard, and they lift you when times are good, and that's so important in this game and in the modern game, because there's going to be games when you don't have the possession, or you don't have the ball, or you don't kind of have the game that you want to have. But to know that the fans have always got your back is something massive.
So there you have it. Now you've heard what Alan Pardew and Joe Ward had to say after the game. That concludes this week's podcast for the game against Southampton in the EFL Cup. But make sure to come back next week for my post-match review from the game against Sunderland. So thanks for listening, and remember to up the Palace.